Woof, woof. Four. Hello, CQ. Calling CQ the old friends net. This is WA4LLR, Dave in Burnsville, North Carolina, calling CQ the old friends net. This net meets on this frequency 3 times weekly, Tuesdays and Thursday mornings at 8 a.m., Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m., and we carry out business in the AM mode and the roundtable format. Any station that can generate an AM signal is encouraged to participate. We focus mainly on vintage equipment, but we also will not frown too deeply upon current technology, as long as it produces an AM signal. So, we'll go ahead and get started today. So stations wishing to check into the old friends net, call WA4LLR and come now. N4LQ. KZ4B. WB4ARK. WB4NKL. W4MEC. Well, I have N4LQ, KZ4B, WB4ARK, WB4NKL, and W4MEC. Did I miss anyone? Okay, there's a carrier with no audio. Someone else would like to check in? Come now. Okay, not hearing anyone else. Down the list, N4LQ, KZ4B, WB4ARK, WB4NKL, and MEC. Well, good morning, fellas. We've got about 32 degrees, 33 degrees up here in just east of Burnsville. Mostly sunny. Pretty sunrise with a little sliver of a moon out there when I first came down into the shack. Running the Harvey Wells DBS 50D this morning, receiving on the HQ 110A. A little help from the SB 220. Looks like about 175, somewhere in there, carrier level. So let's go ahead and get started. Steve, down to you. N4LQ, WA4LL.
Okay, Dave. WA4LLR, N4LQ. Looks like the start of another beautiful day, although still rather dry. I noticed our humidity was back down to about 9% yesterday afternoon in the heat of the day. Constant wind yesterday, and the ground is very, very dry. Right now it's 37 degrees and 32% humidity, but that'll dry off, I guess, as the day goes on. Hopefully this weekend we'll get some rain. I'm running the Collins 32V3 and the HQ140X receiver. So good morning, John. Over to you. KZ4B, N4LQ.
N4LQ and the group KZ4B, fine business, Steve. You're booming in. There is some QS Baker, but signals are generally strong. And I've got a 120 cycle hum that's on the frequency that I normally don't hear. And our friends below us, I think they're below us, are too close for comfort, but everybody's very Q5. Buddy, in my garage, refresh my memory, in my garage I've got an ART13 that has a 200 to 400 kilohertz, a low frequency unit that plugs in to that where that blank panel normally is in the middle of an ART13. And it's got stencil on the side modifications M1 through M5. It just says it's a plain ART13 T47. There's no A, and it does not have a toggle switch in the upper middle part of that lower sheet metal section that covers the auto tune knobs. Does it sound like there's any chance? It's also got 3 bathtub capacitors in that space where the low frequency unit plugs in. Is there any chance that would cover 160 meters? And so over to you. WB4ARK and the group KZ4B, over.
KZ4B, WB4ARK. Okay, John. Let's see, the weather here is 35 degrees, and the don't know what the humidity is. I didn't check that. But anyway, it's a clear day. Nah, I don't think there's a cloud in the sky. Much like it was yesterday. Supposed to be clear most of the day. And in answer to your question, John, that unit, to my knowledge, can't be readily modified for 19 500 KC, 19,000. 1900 KC. That unit should have a toggle switch if it was a B unit. Below the instruction panel in the almost the middle of the unit, between the D and the A control knobs, and it would be in the lower left hand corner of that instruction panel. The instruction panel is about 2.5 by 3 inches wide, something like that. So that's the deal there. Sorry about that. So over to Cliff, WB4NKL, and did you get my email? This is WB4ARK.
Yeah, WB4ARK. It's WB4NKL. I did get it, buddy, and I will keep an eye out for one of those. I've just got mine, you know, it's got that switch on it, but I go to a lot of ham fests, so you might be getting a call one of these days. Try to run one down. Got about 33 degrees here. It's warmed up a degree, but it's supposed to be, I think, 68 later on today. So if the wind will stay calmed down, it'll be pretty nice. We every day that it gets fairly decent, the wind blows and it still feels a little chilly outside. I'm running a Johnson 500 this morning. This is the one that Glenn used to run, and Stan had bought it, and I was doing some checking out here, so I think it's going to be running okay. So I'll send it on to Charlie. A lot of QRN in here today, but copying everybody pretty good. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
WB4NKL, the old friends, W4MEC. Real good. Good morning, fellas. It's a nippy 29 degrees here with clear skies. I removed my bird bath heaters yesterday, and my bird bath froze up last night, so just use a chicken water heater is all it is, little round plate with about 75 watt thermostat control heating element, and does a pretty good job of keeping them defrosted unless it gets into the low teens. And then they'll still freeze up. But anyway, no smoke this morning. I haven't checked the fire report. I noticed they're using dry chemical fire retardant now, dropping it all over the areas. Maybe they can start to get ahead of this mess. Looking at the Table Rock fire, and they're actually putting out evacuation orders all the way down to Highway 11. And our good friend N4AK Glenn lives right on Highway 11. And I'm not sure if it extends all the way to him at sunset or not. So anyway, maybe that's the reason he hadn't been on the air. So, but I think the last time he was down at his lake house. So not sure what's going on there. Anyway, back to Dave. WA4LLR in the group, W4MEC.
All righty. W4MEC and the group, WA4LLR. Let me take a quick standby. Do we have any other check-ins for the old friends coming in? All right, not hearing any. Charlie, you're the cold spot, sounds like. 29 degrees at your location. I'm glad you're not seeing any smoke. Yeah, those fires have really done some damage. Man, we need rain. Lord, send rain. And let's see, Cliff, the 500 sounds great. just about everybody has got the S-meter pegged on this HQ110A. Charlie's the only one that doesn't. He's about 15 over, up close, almost 20, and everybody else has got it against the peg. So, good band conditions this morning. Let's see here. Yeah, Stan's going to be quite happy with that 500, I think, clip. It's got a great signal. And good morning to you, buddy. Let's see. I think let's see. Steve's the warm spot with 37. And, buddy, we're always in awe of your knowledge of the ART 13 genre, man. That's amazing how much you know about those things. Good morning to you, John's booming in up here. And Steve, the 32V sounds great. We're going up to a high of 64 today, and I do hope that the wind stays down, because I've got to take my 40-meter inverted V down. I was tuning it trying to tune up on it the other day, and stuff kept bouncing around. And I put the Nano V&A on it, and Lord have mercy. Evidently the wind has broken something once in a while. It showed a good SWR, and then the resonant frequency would bounce all over creation, so I've got to let that thing down and repair it. Our space weather today, sunspot count 63, solar flux index is 152, the K is 5, so we're at a minor geomagnetic storm level, but it sure doesn't seem to be hurting anybody today. A few items from this day in history. On this day in 1915, Mary Mallon, better known as Typhoid Mary, was placed under quarantine on North Brother Island, New York City, that lasted till her death in 1938. She was allegedly responsible for multiple outbreaks of typhoid fever. On this day in 1958, Nikita Khrushchev became the premier of the Soviet Union. On this day in 1964, South Central Alaska was struck by a 9.2 magnitude earthquake, the strongest ever recorded in the United States. On this day in 1975, construction began on the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. On this day in 1977, two 747s, a Pan Am and a KLM, collided on a runway in the Canary Islands, and then resulting in the deaths of 582 people. And last but not least, on this day in 1998, the pharmaceutical company Pfizer was approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to place Viagra on the market. Back down to you, Steve, N4LQ, WA4LLR.
Brought to you by Pfizer and WA4LLR and 4LQ. Well, there you go. Well, the temperature's gone up 1 degree since we started, so we're making progress. And boy, I don't know. I'm planning a new antenna for the shack down the basement, and I think I'm going to have a separate antenna for down there, and it's going to be an in-fed half-wave inverted L, so it'll go straight up, or maybe a little bit of an angle up 65 feet and then across horizontally 65 feet, and make a half wavelength for this band anyway, and that way I can use it on all the other bands too. And if I want to, I can switch it to feed up here if need be in the upper shack. So that's my latest plan. I do have a station set up down there. I have not transmitted from down there as of yet. Just kind of waiting on a few things to come together. But a transmitter for one thing. I've got some small ones and some amplifiers, and I guess I'm going to tote some of them down there and try to get this spare room cleaned out next to me so I can put in the Collins 20V or some big heavy thing. That's one of these days. Well, let's see. Everybody sounds pretty good. John's good and loud, and Buddy sounds normal on your ART-13, real good. Cliff, the 500 sounds excellent. No distortion problems or anything. Sounds great. So I'm really curious what you found out. Was it the relay or what the problem was with that thing? Charlie, doing okay. So with that, I'll just go ahead and turn it on to John, KZ4B, N4LQ.
Okay, N4LQ in the group, KZ4B, fine business, Steve. Conditions are quite good today. All signals are strong, but Charlie's the weakest of the group. Considerably weaker than everybody else, but totally Q5. I've got that 120 cycle hum interference, and it's definitely coming in over the airway. It's not any kind of filter capacitor problem or anything. And I don't normally hear that. It's usually a different sound, but it's there today. But it's not bothering anybody. The QSO is actually above us. It's an AM QSO, and occasionally they bleed through, and I can cut it out completely with the narrow 2.5 KC filter, but things sound a little too bassy, so I'd rather put up with the bleed through and get the fidelity. Thank you for the information, buddy. I was afraid that was the case, but I wasn't sure. And on my broadcast transmitter, I lucked into at the Shelby Ham Fest a couple of years back, a B&W 850/160. It's 160 through 10 meter tank coil, which I'm using, which means that the grid needs to be resonant on 160 through 10, and I had picked up at another ham fest the old National MB40, which was a tuning unit that's got a couple of gang capacitors and several coils that allows you with the 180 degree sweep of the tuning knob to go from 80 meters through 10. And there was an article that must have come with the unit that was from Henson Kinks and the ARRL QST that showed how to modify it to cover 160 meters as well by switching in a 400 picofarad powder capacitor and another modification to make it work better on the higher bands. That's a neat little trick. If you look at the mid-50s and even early 50s construction articles, that was a very popular unit for tuning. And so hopefully that will match well with the B&W coil, and I can cover 160 through 10. So, and I'm planning on using a swamping resistor so I don't have to neutralize my 4-400 tetrodes. Shifting gears, I plan on going on my walk today. It's been, the wind here on the lake just blows incessantly, and it's a great thing in the summertime, but it can freeze your butt off in the winter. And even though the air is fairly warm, with wind blowing, it can be quite chilly. So hopefully it will behave itself today, and as everybody else is saying, we desperately need some rain although my grass is still green miraculously enough, but I'm surrounded by brown yards. The outfit that fertilizes my grass, I don't know what kind of chemical they use, but it really works. I used to try to use Kimron, and it was almost like they were spraying your yard with Roundup. It went the wrong way. But this outfit, it's a miracle chemical, whatever it is. Jack and the Beanstalk, that must have fertilized the stalk. So I have rambled on way too long. Over to Buddy, and thanks again for the feedback. Answer to the question. WB4ARK in the group, KZ4B, over.
KZ4B, WB4ARK. Okay, John. Well, the band is extremely stable today. There's virtually no QSB on any signals at this QTH, and Charlie, your signal has come up significantly from day before yesterday on Tuesday. I don't know if you're using a different transmitter today, or just or you're on a different antenna, but the signal is much better, and back to normal, I would say, for your area. And so well, let's see. Thanks, Dave, for the comment on the ART13. Appreciate that. I guess that's about all I've got here right now. And it looks like I'm 3715.15 or something like that. So we're pretty close to being right on. So with that, we'll send it over to Cliff. And thanks, Cliff, for checking on that for me. WB4NKL, WB4ARK.
Okay, buddy, WB4ARK, it's WB4NKL. Okay, yeah, good copy all the way around here. And this Johnson 500, I don't know what it is, Steve. When the 500s come in here, they're miraculously cured, I think. I got this one, and two of the relays had been changed out, and so the problem was that Stan was losing when he'd key it, it would blow the 4-amp fuse, which is in the low voltage transformer, which didn't make much sense to me. But I thought, well, there's bound to be some miswiring there. But I traced out all the wiring to the relays. They used, I think Glenn maybe done part of this, but they'd use plug-in relays, and everything checked out perfect. So I put 4-amp fuse in it and keyed it, and it worked fine. But that 4-amp fuse, besides feeding the low voltage transformer, feeds the external keying relay. It's keyed through a contact, comes out on a terminal strip. And I haven't checked with Stan, but if he had a shorted keying relay or something shorting the ground in that line, that would take out the 4-amp fuse when he keyed it. So I'm guessing that he's got some kind of a problem external to the 500 here, if he had a keying relay on it. But I've can't find any problem with the 500 here. So that was an easy one, though. Just had to trace out to make sure that everything was correct. Go ahead, Charlie. Good copy on you over here. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
W4NKL and the group W4MEC. Real good. I got good copies on everybody all the way around. And buddy, I've done absolutely nothing different, so I guess must be conditions. Steve was pondering last night if the smoke was having an issue on the ionosphere, or I think he said, or just the ground wave. But perhaps the smoke is reduced or going in a totally different direction out towards Mill Spring and that area. But nothing's changed here. It's the way it falls. My 160 inverted V is not truly, what do you call it, on one plane where it is suspended from the branch. The one leg goes kind of south-southwest. The other leg does not go north-northeast, but it goes a little bit northeast. So it's got a little bit of a bend there in the middle. Not a lot, but it's not dead straight in line. That might have something to do with it. And I was looking at options to put my 80-meter dipole back up, and I can't shoot a line through there, 30 years later. There's so much branches and vegetation in the way that it's not like it used to be. And when I put that line in 30 years ago, I used a slingshot with a piece of string with a big old nut tied on the end of it. I got a potato gun now, homemade potato gun, but there's just no angle to get it through there without getting a tangled mess. So I'm contemplating what to do here, and I got a ladder that extends to about 36 foot. And I thought maybe I can we'll get that thing up in the tree and get up there about 30 feet and have a closer target to shoot to, and work from there. But I might do that yet. Maybe trim off a few branches on the way up there and get that out of the way. So we're looking into it, and not pushing to pursue it yet. I ought to do it before it gets hot, but it's a little more involved than it was 30 years ago. So anyway, and that's it's sad that that's one direction that is one of the easiest to get to, and the other ones are even worse. So the other option I had was to go from my tower all the way to a support on the basically almost north, actually a little bit west of north, and have it suspended basically over my house with the feed line dropping almost straight down to the feed point. So that's another option I'm looking at. So I got it on my mind, and I'm plotting, but so far I haven't done no physical attempt to fulfill any of my plans. Let's see. WA4LLR and the group W4MEC.
All righty. W4MEC, WA4LLR, and the old friends. Do we have any late check-ins? Come now. Okay. Well, very good. Great signals. Like Buddy said, the band is very stable, at least at my location. Not even detected one iota of QSB. So, very good. Let's see here, Charlie. Yeah, I'm kind of like you. I've got several plans, and I've not moved in that direction yet. But I'm waiting for this wind to get out of here. Man, it has been windy. My goodness, up here where we live on top of this ridge. And I understand the situation, trying to find a good place to get a line through. I had some ideas for an antenna that was going to be running 90 degrees to my existing dipole. Only problem is my big tree I was going to use came down in the hurricane, so that one's out. In fact, a lot of my good anchor trees are no more. So I'm going to have to go to plan B, C, or D, I guess. Um, Cliff, I got a chuckle about when the rigs come into your place. There's an automatic repair that that happens instantaneously. My daughter used to accuse me of that. She had a propane stove that just gave her a fit, and she'd call me and say, "Will you come down here and just lay hands on this stove?" And I'd walk in and it'd fire right up with no issue. It was funny. It gave her a fit. I finally pulled it out and put her a different one in. But that was comical. Let's see. 1 week from today, Lord willing, is the luncheon in Spartanburg. Everybody remember that, and hope we can make it. Bring something to trade on or show and tell, and bring a friend or multiple friends. John's gonna try to get his walk in today. That's always good. And Steve's got plans for a new inverted L for his other shack, and gonna put some big iron in that one. Sounds like, with a 20V. I don't think I'm going for any more big iron. There's enough of it floating around without getting a broadcast transmitter in here. Lord, that's all I'd need. Anyway, let's see. Not much more. If that wind dies, I'm going to try to do a little antenna work today, but we'll see. Anyway, we've certainly got time for a 73 round or an extended 73 round. So let's go back around again. N4LQ, WA4LLO.
Okay, Dave, WA4LLR, N4LQ. Yeah, I was thinking about Cliff and his relay situation on the 500. And I have had that happen to me so many times that, especially with my wife, or somebody would bring me something that doesn't work, and it would work for me, and especially with computers. That is really common. But I've found that if you prove to something that it has to work and there's nothing wrong with you, then it will sometimes just go ahead and work. And that happened to me the other day on my antenna, 160 antenna. I couldn't get a good low SWR with my auto tuner, and I tried everything you can imagine, and finally compromised. But I thought about it all night. The next morning I went outside at the crack of dawn and looked at it, and it looked fine. And I proved to myself there was nothing wrong with it. Came in, fired it up, and it tuned perfectly, and it's been fine ever since. So there you go. And Charlie, one thing, what we were talking about last night was I got this idea that maybe the dryness of the soil was causing a poor daytime propagation, because propagation during the daytime on this band is mostly NVIS, and the conductivity under the antenna becomes an important factor, because the RF from the antenna reflects from the ground up, and you want high angle radiation. And if the soil is really, really dry, that's going to diminish that effect. And I got on AI, and I asked AI that question. I said, if you have dry weather, does it affect NVIS propagation? And boy, it gave me page after page of calculations and formulas, and absolutely proved that yes, it has an effect. As much as, I think they said 6 dBs, something like that. So it's not huge, but it's enough to be noticeable. And Charlie, your signal used to be one of the strongest. A couple of years ago, your signal was always super strong, and now you're always the weakest, and I don't know what happened, but that's been that way for a couple of years now. And I thought, well, maybe your feed line is aged out, or the window line, or something isn't right. And you mentioned the 80-meter antenna, and I think that's the key to it, is getting one up. And hopefully you can get one up. I wrote down some signal strengths here for comparison. I got everybody but John's, but Dave's at plus 14, Buddy's at plus 10, Cliff's at plus 12, and Charlie, you're at S8. So that just doesn't make sense, and there's something going on there. So hopefully we can pin down what that is, and yeah, get some Agent Orange or something and kill some of that brush. And I am looking forward to the luncheon. I wonder who all's going to be there. I plan to be there, and I guess John, you're coming with me too, I hope. So over to you, John. KZ4B, N4LQ.
N4LQ in the group, KZ4B, fine business, Steve, and indeed I plan on coming to your house, whether I'm coming with Ryan or without. It's gotten to be a really neat tradition. I really enjoy riding with you to Spartanburg. We have some very interesting conversations, to say the very least. Shifting gears, talking about NVIS antennas and the ground effect, my downstairs 160-meter antenna is on my tower, and it's very long and very low at the ends, but the feed impedance is closer to, I'd say it's up around 35 or 40 ohms. But my upstairs antenna is very low. At the highest point it might be 30 feet, and it gets down around 15 or 20 feet over a fair percentage of it, and it's got a counterpoise number 6 copper wire buried underneath it for part of its length, and the rest of the length is it's right over the cable that feeds my service entrance panel. So the ground effect is quite striking. And consequently, I used to try to feed it with RG8X running a kilowatt output. And I literally melted the RG8X. It was like 12 ohms. And so I had to go to LMR 400, which runs pretty well ice cold. But the impedance was so low that, you know, the current in the coax was crazy high, and it didn't tolerate that at all using RG8X, which normally works just fine. So there. And Charlie, you are very weak here generally, and I think based on your description, I'm right off the end of your antenna, which has something to do with it. Plus, there may be other issues. But today you're Q5, and normally you are, unless the interference, local interference really gets nasty. And the interference is pretty strong today. It's well over S9, but signals are so strong that it's being overridden, and that's nice. Minimal QS Baker, as has been said, and so it's been quite enjoyable. So thanks for calling the net, Dave. You always do a great job. and looking forward to the luncheon next Thursday. So, take it away, buddy. WB4ARK and the group KZ4B over and clear. But listen.
KZ4B, WB4ARK. Okay, John. Well, let's see. I hope everyone's not wishing too hard on the weather. It's not supposed to be very good next week. Say Monday or so. Supposed to have some significant thunderstorms come through this area. So hopefully it will spare some of the counties in the north, but maybe not. And the Johnson 500, Cliff, are you repairing that for someone, or is that yours to keep? Just curious about that. I will send you an email regarding what I would be willing to go up to on that ART-13. Let's see. Another thing that can affect your antenna, and I wonder if you guys have thought about this. For instance, a coax-fed antenna, the center part of the coax is typically hot. The braid outside is at ground potential. Now, if you have a dipole, for instance, as I do, you want to keep the center part of the coax on the section of the dipole that will not be interfered with any tree limbs. I had one situation where I was burning back the limbs in the tree, and so the ART-13 doesn't care much about interference like that, but the KWS-1 is very sensitive to that situation. It does not like anything touching the driven part of that coax, the center conductor of the coax. So you've got to keep your tree limbs away from that part of the antenna. Now it doesn't like to tune. It doesn't tune very well at all. So and if Steve, for instance, your antenna was in contact with a tree limb or something like that, it might affect the way your automatic tuner tunes the antenna. It's a very serious situation, but you need to keep that part of the antenna free as it can be, away from any kind of obstructions. And so I would also say, Charlie, that you might want to get your antenna up before the leaves come out on the trees, because then you've got a more serious situation with obstruction of the line that you shoot over the tree, more obstruction in the way that you might get caught up in a branch or something such as that, whereas if the trees are completely free of any kind of outgrowth, the nut or whatever you have on the line will fall straight down without getting interfered with too much. So that's my take on it, and we'll send it on to Cliff. WB4NKL, WB4ARK.
And WB4ARK, it's WB4NKL. Okay, buddy. No, this is not my Johnson 500. It belongs to Stan, W4KR. He got it from Glenn. And I do have a Johnson 500. Hadn't had it on the air in a long time. I guess might try that one day. Put it back in line. I plan on coming to the luncheon at this point. Got a couple. Well, yeah, if Stan can come, I'll probably bring this transmitter back to him. It'd be one thing, and then I've got another deal. I've got another reason to come with John VVC. So looking forward to it. 73s. Thanks for calling it, Dave, and we will try to catch everybody Sunday, if not before. Go ahead, Charlie. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff, WB4NKL on the group, W4MEC. Yeah, well, let's see. Steve's broken and miraculously repaired, and the one on the Johnson 500 for you, Cliff, is I was in that category Tuesday night when I was talking to Boone on 6 meters and my amplifier wouldn't work. I got a homebrew 6 meter solid state amplifier that runs on a 28 volt B+, and it wouldn't come on. It looked like it was keying, the red light came on, but it was only passing the power through, and which was about 5 watts or so, 4 watts from a Lafayette HA460 transceiver. So I had to peak the transceiver back up to its full output, which was 12 watts, and Boone could copy me just fine. Actually, he was copying me just fine on 5 watts. So when we got done, and I sat down there and I said, "What's going on with this stupid amplifier?" I really didn't touch anything. I just kind of looked at it and operated the switches, which one switch puts it in line, the other switch either keys directly or it gives a slight delay before it drops back to receive. That was for the sideband function. Between words it wouldn't drop out. And I just flipped those switches a couple times. It still didn't work. So I turned the whole thing off. And I turned it back on, worked fine. So I have no clue what the issue is with it, but as long as it worked fine on the second try, next week I'll turn it on and then off and then turn it back on again just to be sure. So I've run into several things along those same lines that you have, that people bring you stuff that, so that didn't work. What's wrong with it? My absolute favorite is one that fellow who gave me a receiver, said it didn't work. And I got it home, I looked at it, on the back was a switch that said internal, external speaker, and it was set on external. So that was an easy fix. Anyway, good to talk to you fellas today, and hopefully we'll talk to you tonight. One comment about my 160 antenna is completely in the clear. There's no branches, there's no anything around it anywhere. So it's not that particular tree branch touching stuff is probably not an issue. It's probably orientation for John or whatever. But I'll work on that other antenna, see what I can get back up. Let's see, 7-3 all. We'll see you on Sunday and maybe tonight on 160. WA4LLR, W4MEC.
All righty, fine business. Well, 7-3 to everybody. Enjoyed it this morning, and I'll yeah, those quick fixes are fun. I run into that with gas logs a lot. People call it, they won't come on, this, that, and the other. You go and they've got the control set on the wrong thing. I know one lady was just I said, look, let me talk you through this on the phone. It won't cost you any money. I said, let me tell you how the controls need to be set on. No, I'm not doing it. Come fix it. So I go, and all it needs is either one switch set in the right position or the gas valve changed from pilot to on. But, you know, honey, if you've got the money, I've got the time. I ran into one little issue with this Harvey Wells. It kept messing up, kept losing grid drive, kept going off. I took it apart, checked the tubes, cleaned everything, put it back together, and I'd kit, no grid drive. And then I'd kit next time and it'd have grid drive. It was driving me insane. And finally a light came on. And I changed the crystal that I was using, and the problem was solved. An intermittent crystal. Oh well, live and learn. All right, fellas, been a good net, good signals, and a lot of nice information. Buddy, thanks for that information on antennas and the orientation of the center feed on the leg that's not got any foreign objects intruding on it. So everybody have a great day. 7-3, God bless, Lord willing. We'll catch up with you on Sunday. And as far as we can know right now, we're planning on coming down to the luncheon, so looking forward to it. This is WA4LLR, Dave in Burnsville, North Carolina, closing this session of the Old Friends Net. Everybody have a great day.
What frequency on 160 and what mode of operation, AM or single sideband, over?
Did I say 160?
No, I was just asking about 160. What frequency and what mode of operation, AM or single sideband?
Oh, okay. If you're talking about the nighttime net, it's 8 o'clock, 1864 sideband. That's the one that Steve runs on 160. 1864. 8 o'clock, and lower sideband, over.
Thank you.